Good morning. This is Group 4 and I am Michael E. Tacdoro. This presentation talks about the profitability of Jollibee Food Corporation. This ratio helps us find out if the ability of the firm can generate return on its sales, equity, and assets. Under this profitability ratio, it has operating profit margin, return on assets, return on equity, and earnings per share. These ratios will later be discussed by my group mates. Jollibee Food Corporation is one of the successful and undeniable multinational largest food company in the Philippines. These past few years, it acquires not only Mang Inasal, but Red Ribbon, Burger King, Greenwich, and Panda Express. Because of this acquisition and joint venture, its sales increases 14% to 2018, 212.19 billion to 2019, 243.79 billion. Its earning per share is 5.887 pesos. And this past 13 years, it attains highest ROE of 21.56% and ROA of 10.71%.
I am Charles Dhoms Corrales, and I will be the one to discuss operating profit margin. What is operating profit margin and why is it important? Operating margin is the profit a company makes on a dollar of sales after paying for variable costs but before paying any interest or taxes. Shows how much profit a company makes from its core operations in relation to the total revenues it brings in. Helps investors understand how a business makes money. If it is generating income primarily from core operations or in any other means such as investments. An increasing operating margin over a period of time indicates a business or a company whose profitability is also improving. This graph shows the performance of the Jollibee Food Corporation in terms of operating profit margin years from 2015 to 2019. Starting from 2015, the operating profit margin is 6.61%. In 2016, it increased of 7.03%, but lately it decreased in 2017 of 6.55%. In 2018, it increased again to 7.6%, but decreased again in 2019 of 5.68%. This means that the company's revenue are increasing in every year, but they should also consider looking for their earnings before income tax because starting from 2015 until 2019, it fluctuates from increase then decrease, but showing in the graph, it suddenly goes down to 5.68% in 2019, which means there is a sudden increase in the cost of operation, and because of that, the company should consider the increase of cost of raw materials and they purchase from the suppliers and the same way with the selling, general and administrative expense and the other operating expenses.
Hi everyone, my name is Glendie and today I will be discussing profit margin. So what is profit margin? Profit margin is a ratio of a company's profit divided by its revenue. It is one of the commonly used profitability ratios to gauge the degree to which a company or a business activity makes money. It also represents the percentage of sales that has turned into profits and can also be used to compare whether a company is paying too much interest or taxes. Going on, this illustration is the profit margin of the Jollibee Food Corporation. So as I said earlier, the formula to get the profit margin is the profits divided by its revenue or net income divided by its sales or revenue. As you can see here, in 2015, the profit margin is 4.89. And in 2016, the profit margin is 5.42. So it shows an increase of profit margin. And in 2017, with profit margin of 5.32 and 5.17 in 2018, it shows that there is a short decline of profit margin. And in 2019, with a profit margin of 3.79%, it shows a very sharp decline of profit margin. So, to know the reason why there is a decline of profit margin, we should look at its component. So, the sales revenue of the company from 2015 to 2019 has been increasing. And the net income of the company from 2015 up until to 2018 has been increasing, but in the case of 2019, there is a decrease of net income. So, going back or looking back at the income statement, the net income for the 2019 has decreased because there is an increase of expenses. So the expenses of the company in 2019 has been increasing. The reason why it decreased the net income and affected the profit margin of resulted to 3.79. So it is very important to know the profit margin of the company because it shows to you how much money your business is making. It shows you the general health of your business, and it also helps you show possible problems or problems that might occur in your business. That's all. Thank you.
I'm Demple Bejenia on return on assets. Return on assets is a vital ratio that measures the firm's profitability relative to the amount of assets invested to generate income, determined by dividing net income by total assets and result displayed percentage. In year 2015, the GFC's return on assets was 7.51% and increased to a favorable ratio of 8.46% in 2016. This decreased to 7.88% in year 2017 and continuously declined in the following two successive years to 3.68% despite heavy acquisition of property, plant, and equipment in 2019. This means that the company assets were not fully utilized to generate income.
My name is Kyla Cutin. I am now reporting the return on equity of Jollibee Corporation.
So, what is the return on equity or why it is important? Return on equity is a measure of financial performance calculated by dividing net income by shareholders' equity because shareholders' equity is equal to company's asset minus its debt. ROE is considered the return on net asset, and ROE is considered a measure of how effectively management is using company's asset to create profit. So this is the graph of return on equity of Jollibee's Corporation from 2015 to 2019. So as you can see that the return on equity was 15.51% in 2015, and in 2016 the ROE is 17.97, increased by 2.46%. In 2017, it has 16.69%, decreased by 1.22%. in 2018 has 16.68%, decreased by 0.01%. And in 2019, it generates a downward. It has 12.30% and decreased from 2018 to 2019 by 44.48%. In 2019, it has lower ROE than 2018, 2017, 2016, and 2015. Among the year, it means that the company may mismanage or the management of that year is poor, suggested that they need to manage well to increase the profit generation without needing of as much capital.
Hello, I am Jerald Remoroza. I'm here to talk about the earnings per share based on the corporations of Jollibee's financial analysis. So, what is earnings per share? Earnings per share is the company's profitability in which it measures or indicates its financial measures. To get the total earnings of the company, you simply just divide its total net income with its total number of outstanding shares. We go on to the analysis on the given data. We have 5 years in the making of profits. Each year has different net incomes and number of common shares. It may increase or decrease. As you can see in the table, on the year 2015 to 2019, the average income from 2015 to 2019 had increased as well as the number of common stocks. Needless to say, the total earnings has also increased, and on the 2019, it decreases due to low net income and common stock compared to the previous years.
Hello everyone, I am Janielle Bernardino and I am going to discuss the analysis. So first, the sales margin ratio. By looking at the graph, we can see that the operating margin is not increasing consistently throughout the 5 years, despite the increase in earnings before interest and taxes and revenue. This means that the operating costs are high. In 2019, there is a decrease in earnings despite the increase in revenue, which could also mean that the cost is higher compared to the previous year. The profit margin of JFC in 2018 is 5.17%, which means that in every peso in sales, it has a net income of 0.0517. The company maintained a profit margin of 4 to 5% in the past 4 years, but it declined to 3.79% during 2019. This shows that in 2019, the cost is higher and it must be reduced to attain higher net income and profit margin. In comparison of operating margin and profit margin, it shows that the interest charges and taxes are high, which led to a lower profit margin. For the return on assets and return on equity, the JFC's return on assets increased in 2016 to 8.46%, but it continued to decline in 2019 to 3.68%. The increase in assets during 2019 did not result in higher net income, causing a decline in the return on assets. This means that the company's investments were not efficiently converted into profits and could not fully utilize the assets available. Thus, to improve the return on assets, they must ensure that they invest in assets that are beneficial to improving the company's operations. The GFC's return on equity during 2018 is 16.68%, which means that in every peso of the shareholders' equity, it is earning about 0.1668. During 2019, it also declined alarmingly to 12.30%. This decline in return on equity is related to the return on assets, where we assume that assets are not being fully utilized because the increase in assets did not correlate to the increase in net income. This also pertains to the company's ability to generate income from its equity financing is declining. Comparing the JFC's earnings per share from 2016 to 2019, it shows an upward trend despite a decline in 2019. This means that the net income increases relative to the increase in shares outstanding for the year 2019. This decline is also affected by the decrease in net income during 2019. In assessing the overall profitability of JFC Corporation through ratios, it shows that it is declining and not doing well in improving its profitability. The company is still earning, but the continuous decline is alarming. This indicates that the overall performance and effectiveness of the management are not favorable. Thus, the company must assess their investments, whether they contribute to the company's growth, and evaluate their costs and expenditures to find ways to reduce them.
Hello everyone, I am Janine Salazar and I am tasked to present to you the recommendation. As we all know, JFC companies encounters decline from the profit margin as well as the return on asset and return on the equity. So the group recommended that the cost of the company must be reduced to achieve higher net income and profit margin. Aside from that, they must increase their average order volume. It means they must go beyond on their average so that they will be able to generate higher net income for their company. Moreover, they must negotiate discount from supplier, or better yet, find new supplier for them to be able to minimize their expenses. Because as we all know, the reason why the profit margin is declining is because the operating expenses of the company is very high. So might as well, they must negotiate discount from their supplier, better yet, find new supplier. And of course, be mindful about their final costs. Now, as what I've mentioned earlier, aside from the decline of the profit margin, JFC company also is encountering also decline from the ROA and from the ROE. So meaning it's not that profitable. It means that the asset of the company is not that being utilized to generate income. So for them to address that, they must improve current asset efficiency and invest more on the company's asset to improve company's operation and generate higher income. That would be all. Thank you.